This video was sponsored by World of Warships. According to Peter Zeihan, a geopolitical strategist specializing in demographics, you can learn a lot about a generation from the stories they grew up with. Quoting him, "With the millennials, it's Harry Potter. You have a wand, you fly around on a broom, you play some weird-ass three-dimensional version of soccer, and at the end of the day, with the confrontation with the big bad, you don't win because you're smarter or because you worked harder, you win because of who you are." Blah. Then there's the Zoomers. Hunger Games. You two, there's a plastic spoon. Fight to the death using that and only that, and the winner gets lunch. I think it's fair to say that Zeihan is an accomplished literary critic too, so we're going to follow his example and learn about past generations from the historical fiction they grew up with, both starring Englishmen during the rise and height of their empire. So you can call me Ezekiel. And this is Flashman vs. Horatio Hornblower. But first, this video is sponsored by the free-to-play naval combat game World of Warships. Take command of one of hundreds of beautifully constructed warships, with options like highly maneuverable destroyers with their high-skill, high-reward torpedoes, versatile cruisers, battleships for up-close brawling or long-range sniping, or even provide air support from an aircraft carrier. And now, if you feel more suited to a sneakier playstyle, you can even play as the recently added submarines. The game is visually stunning, and those graphics are put to good use bringing its historical warships to life. Every ship is a beautifully detailed reconstruction of a real-life warship or warship design, and every month, the game gets updated with more warships from more nations, including the United Kingdom's Royal Navy in which Horatio Hornblower served, not to mention improved graphics, features, events, and so much more. The game is free to play on PC and gaming consoles, so sign up using my link in the description and use the promo code BRAVO when you sign up for free exclusive rewards. And from November 15th through December 13th, World of Warships is running a treasure hunt where you can earn in-game and real-life prizes by playing the game and inviting your friends. And now, back to the video. Horatio Hornblower is the protagonist of the historical novel series bearing his name, as well as the Democrat Party's 1968 presidential nominee.
And the party of a great man who should have been president and who would have been one of the greatest presidents in history, you put Horatio Hornblower. Humphrey!
Truer words have never been spoken. Anyway, authored by C.S. Forrester, each novel follows Horatio's career in the Royal Navy from a lowly 17-year-old midshipman all the way up to Lord and Rear Admiral. Technically, the novels take place along every naval front of the Napoleonic Wars, including the Caribbean, Mediterranean, and Baltic Seas, and the Atlantic coast. But the truth is that the actual setting of the series are the British warships that Horatio serves on and eventually commands. The books are famous for accurately depicting life aboard a Napoleonic-era warship, all the way down to the uniforms, ranks, social relations, and most importantly, the operations of the ships. It won't be long before you know the difference between a midshipman and a lieutenant, a topsail from a mizzenmast, and all sorts of other nautical jargon. The novels are written in an impressionistic style, so everything is seen through the eyes of Horatio Hornblower, except for one book which is from the perspective of his friend and often second in command, Bush. It all comes together to paint a picture of Hornblower as a heroic but complex figure. So if Hornblower is about the life of a good man, then Flashman is about the life of a very, very bad one. Flashman's his name, he's not a superhero. Although if he were a superhero, I'd rather not speculate on what his power might be. Harry Paget Flashman is the school bully of the 1857 semi-autobiographical novel Tom Brown's School Days, but he gets a second lease on life in the form of George MacDonald Fraser's Flashman Papers. They're called the Flashman Papers because the entire series is presented within the framing device that the novels are actually the memoirs of the real Flashman. The series never breaks this facade, and even goes as far as to add annotations with historical context and commentary as though it's a real first-hand source. Regarding the actual contents of the Flashman Papers, they're a series of unwilling globe-trotting adventures. I say unwilling because Flashman is not a hero, or even a reluctant soldier. He's a complete and total coward. He flees from danger at every opportunity, and in his free time much prefers to troll the hell out of his friends and seduce as many beautiful women as possible. Or in other words, he's everyone's favorite Crusader Kings character. On top of having a fantastic protagonist who single-handedly turns the series into a comedy, the Flashman Papers bring the Victorian world to life. And I'm not just talking about Victorian Britain, but also India, Afghanistan, Russia, North America, Africa, Singapore, and even Central Asia. The historical figures of the Flashman Papers are similarly well researched and are often prominently featured throughout the series. I've read biographies that don't do as good a job of bringing historical figures back to life as the Flashman Papers do. And finally, not only does Flashman get to meet all of the coolest people, but he also has a tendency of finding himself in the middle of all of the most important world-shaping events. In any other historical fiction series, this would feel unbelievably contrived, but not in Flashman, due to one simple fact. Flashman is not a spunky hero trying to do the right thing. He's a coward, so him being in the middle of dangerous historical events doesn't come off as contrived, but absolutely hilarious. And this is the first key difference between our two series. Hornblower is never around for key historical events, nor do his novels prominently feature real people. Instead of bringing historical figures or places to life, the Hornblower novels bring Napoleonic-era warships and fictional characters to life, and that's because of its Impressionism. Impressionist literature is that which focuses more on its characters' inner lives than on external events. In other words, it spends a lot of time in people's heads. That's kinda hard to do with real people, but you can absolutely get into the psychology of fictional characters. In this case, Horatio Hornblower. What we discover is not the supremely heroic paragon that most of the world sees, but a fundamentally insecure and melancholic figure. Hornblower absolutely is a hero, but it's not because he's fearless. He's not a coward like Flashman, but instead, his fear comes from his insecurities. Hornblower is afraid that he won't live up to the expectations of himself and those around him. He feels like he's always one mistake away from being rejected or becoming a failure. This constant anxiety means he's always followed by guilt that drives him to work hard at whatever he's doing. Hornblower is an extremely driven individual, and, perhaps more importantly, he's intelligent, so he's capable of taking that drive and turning it into results. But no matter how successful he is, he'll never be able to enjoy his success. Because in the end, he's not trying to outrun failure, he's trying to outrun his insecurities. This is what makes Hornblower such a compelling character. It also means that he always tries his hardest to put on a stoic face so no one sees his inner turmoil. Whenever this mask drops is when the juiciest drama unfolds. This theme, that of the difference between the inner self and the self you show the world, is also present in Flashman, but whereas Hornblower plays it straight, Flashman plays it for comedy. You see, even though Flashman is constantly running away from danger and always passes up an opportunity to be the hero, whenever he does escape from danger, it's always in such a way that he comes off looking like a hero. Flashy is well aware of this, and plays it up to maximum effect. He quickly learns how to tell just enough of his story so that the incredible adventure can be inferred, but not so much that his cowardice becomes obvious. This is possible because Flashman, unlike Hornblower, is supremely confident in his own being. He has no problem taking credit for other people's work or failing to live up to their expectations. He knows exactly who he is, and he totally embraces it. Unfortunately, since everyone now thinks he's a daring hero, they constantly volunteer him for the most dangerous missions. Many Flashman novels have a segment where Flashman desperately tries to avoid his superiors so they won't send him on any more deadly missions. One last difference worth pointing out is that each of our two protagonists will be better suited to the other's era. Flashman is a debauched character living in the moralistic Victorian period, while Hornblower is a relatively straight character living in the revolutionary Napoleonic era. Their characters would have been much better suited to the other setting, but it's good that they're stuck in theirs because it makes their stories a lot more interesting. At their core, both the Flashman Papers and the Horatio Hornblower series are about how to live life as a man, all the way from young adulthood to old age. Hornblower is about how to live life as a good man, while Flashman is about how to live life as a very, very bad one. The value in Hornblower is obvious, but what's the value in Flashman? Why read a novel about an evil character? Well, aside from the great comedy and incredible writing, what's interesting about Flashman is the kind of evil he is. Many real people and fictional characters are evil due to their impotence and hatred for the more successful. They live meaningless lives, and try to imitate meaning by tearing down the lives of others. That's an archetypical evil, a satanic kind, but it's not Flashman. His evil is not from impotence or meaninglessness. Flashman is actually very driven. It's just that his drive is to perform villainous acts like to cheat and to harm others. And, unfortunately, is just like Hornblower in that he's intelligent enough to turn his will into reality. In a sick way, it's kind of admirable, but make no mistake, he is a monster. If you require no other evidence, Flashman is an unrepentant murderer and rapist. So do I recommend these books? Yes, every single one. Absolutely, positively, yes. There are links to where you can get them in the description and pinned comment. The Flashman Papers are easy to get into because you can just read the books in order of publication. Just know that while the publication order is not chronological, it's still the way you're supposed to read them. My personal favorites in the series are the first, simply titled Flashman, Flashman and the Great Game, and Flashman and the Dragon. That last one has one of the weaker plots in the series, but it also has the best setting: China during the Second Opium War and Taiping Rebellion. That second conflict was either the third or fourth deadliest war in human history, and it all started because some Chinese guy had a fever dream telling him that he was the reincarnated brother of Jesus Christ. In Flashman and the Dragon, you even get to meet him. Hornblower is slightly more complicated, because the series is one continuous chronological narrative that was not published chronologically. Also, one of the novels, the fifth, was never finished, so if your plan is to read all of them, read them in the chronology of Hornblower's life, not the order in which they were published. But if you only want to read some of them, then I would suggest reading the books about the latter half of Hornblower's life, beginning with Beat to Quarters. In my opinion, those are the best. Particularly Beat to Quarters, Ship of the Line, and Flying Colors. And that's Horatio Hornblower versus Flashman. This video was funded by British aristocrats with money made from their globe-spanning empire, including Josiah. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. And don't forget, links to where you can get these books are in the pinned comment and description below this video. Enjoy!